Well, welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Today is part 3 of the vintage chainsaws that we use on the vintage homestead here. The saws we'll be using are from 60cc and bigger. These are the saws that I use the least, but it's just nice to have them. So anyway, we'll start out with a Pioneer P41. This is a Canadian made saw. Pioneer was one of the top sellers in Canada and the Pacific Northwest, both in the commercial market and the homeowners market. These are really nicely well built saws. This one is a 66cc displacement. They're made from about 1966 to 78. And you can see all the decals are still on it, really nice. It's got a 27-inch bar, and it's got a 3/8 skip tooth chain, which I use. And it weighs 20.5 pounds. But things on these that are usually missing, it's a step plate here. All this has got a little chunk out of it where you put your foot in to start it. Those get brittle and break off, and top covers a lot of times have cracks and breaks in them and stuff. But like I say, this saw has not had a whole lot of use. So anyway, I don't have any footage of this saw, although it's ready to go. I've only used it a couple of times, there again because I don't need my bigger saws that often. It's in such nice shape, I hate to get it all dirty. So anyway, we'll move on to the next. Well, the next saw we have is a McCulloch ProMac 700. These were made from 1977 through 1988. That's 70.5 cc. Got a 28-inch bar on it. It's got 3/8 standard chain on it. This was a saw that started out as a Model 110 in the 60s, but same chassis as the 1010, and all of them, it's just the displacement is bigger, but nice and lightweight. And these are really powerful. Did a few things on them over the years. Some of them have the starter on the opposite side, and some of them have the mufflers come out the bottom. This is the real early version here. And this one has a decompression valve, which is nice because it's really easy to start. Like I say, it's very powerful. I've used this saw quite a bit. And this one weighs 17 pounds. Well, the next saw, displacement wise, up is my old mono here, 1966. This, I've got it fully operational, but I don't have any video on it yet, but I'll have some this spring when I get out and get some trees down. This uses a Power Products AH47 engine, which is a 4.7 cubic inch or 77 cc's. This is a motor of choice for so many Brand X chainsaws, but you can see the old clunky style. I've talked about it in other videos, but this one hadn't been used a whole lot. It had some minor issues with the magneto and carburetor zinc rod in it, so never got used a whole lot. But like I say, I don't use these for cutting much, but I like to take them to the engine and tractor shows. People like to look at them, and I demonstrate them at the shows a little bit now and again, and just for fun I just take them out and do some cutting with them. Anyway, and that's 21 pounds. They were one of the larger selling brand X saws. They all use the Power Products engines like most all of them did. Some of them use West Bend, but not in this brand of saw, just other saw companies. And this was made in 1966. Get the same AH-47 engine, 77cc, just like the Sears saws did. It's been raining on us here a bit, so I'm trying to get this video done in between rainstorms. But this has the cheapo Tecumseh flat bottom pumper carb on it, which isn't really very good. And then it just has a foam air filter out here in the open, which works okay. But it does have a die-cast aluminum cover shroud, cooling shroud. Switch is right there. This is oil and gas, and you've got your throttle lock and manual oiler here. Pretty much laid out. It's got a nice cast muffler on it. It's got a little slot in here you can put a screen in for a spark arrestor. Most of the brand X saws didn't have that. They just ran a straight exhaust. But like I say, this is a 1966 model. Well, the next saw we have is a Pioneer P50 of 82cc. These are a Canadian saw. They were a big seller on the West Coast, and used in the commercial logging industry in the P40, 50, and 60 series. And this one's got a 27-inch bar on it. Got a 3/8 standard chain on it. And these are torquers. They're not real high speed. They run at 8,500 because they have a governor in the carburetor, so 8,500 RPM. But when they're cutting, they stay about the same, so they'll cut through stuff really, really good. Big, powerful saw. And this one weighs 20.5 pounds, ready to go. Interesting thing too is that this is a 1974 model, first year, and through two other companies after Pioneer, they made them for 14 years because they were still popular in the logging industry in the Northwest here. You can see those nice long chips. Big saw like that cuts through that stuff pretty easy. This wood is really sticky, so it takes a lot of power to cut this stuff. Okay, well, the next size up is our Steel 051. It's about a 1977 model. Rated at 5.8 horsepower. Got a 36-inch bar on it. Four skip tooth chain. And these are big, heavy, powerful saws. Big commercial saw. 89cc. And it weighs 26 pounds. Well, the next biggest saw we have is our McCulloch 795. These are made from 1966 to 1971. It's 103 cc. Got a 404 skip tooth chain on it. It's got a 32-inch bar on it. And this is a whole lineage of saws that started with the early ones in a D44. That's what they call a big block. And these eventually became the SP125, which is the most sought after collector saw. This has a neat features. It's got a DSP, which is a compression release. And unfortunately I don't have any running video on it because McCulloch made a few mistakes over the years, and one of them is they made their own carburetor, a McCulloch flatback carburetor. And it has this on it, and they don't have a choke, they have a primer in it. And they're non-serviceable and the primer doesn't work. And years ago I found a repair kit for it and put it in and have run it, but since then it's gone bad, and so it doesn't, like I say, it doesn't have a whole lot of use. But there was a conversion kit that McCulloch made that put a different carburetor on a Tillotson HL series, and I recently just found the parts to convert this one, so I'll have this up and running this spring and we'll do some footage on it. But these are, like I say, this is a big old monster. And that weighs 28 pounds. Well, the last saw we're going to bring out, we've had on some videos already. It's what I call my silly saw. It's a Still 075, 1974 model. It's 111 cc. This is the second largest saw that's still made. It's got a 60-inch bar and chain on it. Got double spikes on it. And this thing runs really good. It took a lot of work to fix it. It took time to find the pieces, parts for these old Stills are hard to come by. Anyway, we get some really good footage on that. This weighs 46.5 pounds with this bar and chain on it. And for most things, you know, the biggest trees I have are probably 30-inch. So there's has a saving grace here. I got a 42-inch roller nose bar I'll put on it eventually. Got to find the chain wherever I hit it for myself, but that'll make it a lot more useful. But when I take this to the shows, it's always a big hit because you don't see big saws like this anymore. We don't have big trees anymore either. So anyway, the one thing, you know, people say, well, why do you need all these different saws to do your cutting with? Well, I don't. I could do the work with basically two saws, a little top handle saw and a mid-size saw. And if I had modern saws and I did videos, that'd be like watching the moss grow on the roof. It'd be really exciting. So anyway, it gives you, over the 3 videos, the smallest to the biggest that I use. And I know what you're thinking. I have a bigger saw, but you'll have to keep watching to find out. why do I use all of these saws? Well, number one reason is because I can. Number two reason is by running and operating, displaying all these different saws and stuff, if you're an aspiring collector, you can look through and see all the different things and see what you like, and maybe you want to collect one type of saw, or like me, collect all different types and stuff like that. But the other thing too is that we share the history, talk about all the features on them and stuff like that. Try to make it interesting, because if we just had a picture of it, it wouldn't be much. Well, you might ask, why do I need so many saws to do the woodworking cutting I do? Well, I don't. I could actually get by with two saws, a small top handle and a mid-size saw, but then it wouldn't be interesting, would it? So anyway, just think of, I was Mr. Modern homesteading, and I had two saws, and every time I went out and did cutting, I'd do the same two saws and the same type of scenario and stuff. That'd be really exciting, just like watching moss grow on the roof. Well, Wuzzy and I decided to come in and watch Mr. Modern's homesteading channel. It's supposed to be doing chainsaw work, so let's click on the TV here and we'll watch it. Oh, look, that's the same crappy chainsaws he used in the last couple of videos. Man, that's not very interesting. He's not doing any interesting cutting either, just straight cuts. And what do you think, Wuzzy? You think we should watch this? Well, let's watch it. So oh, our video's over. We missed it. We missed anything good? Huh. What do you think? Do you think we ought to watch Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading? I think that channel's a whole lot better. What do you think, Wuzzy? So anyway, with the saws that we have, or actual running history, and I talk about the history of them, the features, good and bads, and so that if you're an aspiring saw collector, you get to see all the different saws running. And you can say, well, gee, I like that one, or I don't like that one. And if you're starting a collection of stuff, you have an idea of what you want. So just because I want them all, I really don't have that big a collection, but I do have some nice stuff. So anyway, we like having our old saws and using them. So we'll see you on the next video. Remember, vintage is best.